In the toolbar, hover the mouse over the rectangle shape. It tells you that that's the rectangle tool. If you right-click on that shape, it will give you a drop-down menu of other tools, and we're going to choose the ellipse tool. You come over to the artboard, click and drag to draw a circle. Each time you click and drag, you'll draw a new circle. All these are a little bit squishy, so I'm just going to step back using Command Z on the keyboard. Command Z till they've gone. This time when I click and drag, I'll hold Shift on the keyboard and that will keep it proportional. There we have a circle. Shapes and paths are made up of a fill colour and a stroke colour. The colour swatch icon shows the current fill colour and the current stroke colour. So I can click here on the colour swatch and change the colour of the fill and change the colour of the stroke. You can also choose no fill and no stroke by opting for the box with the red line through it. This will mean that the shape is invisible, but the shape and the path will still be there. So click on the fill icon of any of your colour swatch palettes. You've got them here. You can do the same up here, they all work in the same way. And we've got another one down here. And choose a colour for your shape. Then click on the stroke icon and choose a colour for your stroke. And using the menu next to that, you can just change the width of your path. There are several places that change stroke and fill options. The options bar and properties panel have more variables, and the toolbar allows you to change colours quickly. The option key is next to the command key on the keyboard. Now if I hover over the middle with my mouse, there's a small rectangle pops up next to the cursor, and that means that I can just click and drag my object out of the way. That gives me some more space to work in. I'm going to go back to the ellipse tool. This time I'm going to draw a small ellipse. There we go. This time I'm going to draw a small circle and make the fill invisible and the stroke black. I'm just going to drop the size of the stroke down there as well. I want to duplicate this because I want 4 holes for these buttons. So I need to go to the toolbar and choose the selection tool, B on the keyboard. Hover back over on the centre dot to get the rectangle. Hold down the option key, left click on it and just drag it across. And there I have 2. Now if I select both circles, so I've got one selected, and if I hold down Shift I can select the second one. Same again, hold down the option key. This time I'm going to drag them down. And I've now got 4 circles that I will use as the centre buttons. I'm going to drag a box around the 4 circles and then choose Object, Group. That means that I can now move any of the circles and they will all move together. Now if I grab the group, I can drag the whole group over and onto my original button back. I might want them bigger or smaller, in which case I can change the size of the whole group by holding Shift and dragging in and out using this cursor. Okay. You can do it without Shift, but the same as the ellipse, it won't be proportional. So I'm going to hold down Shift, drag in and out. I'm happy with them where they are. Now I'm going to drag a box around the whole lot and just grab it and drag it all back into the middle. Now we want to create the holes in the buttons. So I'm going to go up to the window menu, go down and choose Pathfinder. And this has opened up the shape modes options. I'm going to select all 5 circles by drawing a box over it and click on the minus front option. So if you just drag your mouse over, you'll see what the different options are. We want minus front, and that's taken the front shapes from the back shape. Now next I want room for all 3 of my buttons to be in a line, so I need to shrink the size a little bit. Now again, if I hold down shift, grab the corner, I can drag them in. There we go. Now I want 3 of these, so hold down option, grab from the middle and drag down, and again option, grab from the middle and drag down. Mine are all a bit wonky now. I really want them to be aligned neatly. So I'm going to draw a box around all 3 of them, and this time I'm going to get the align menu. So I could get that from window, align, and it's dropped down. We've got loads of options here to line them up left, right and centre, and distribute them as well. We can also choose what we align it to, and at the moment we're going to align to the selection so they all straighten up with each other. I'll go with horizontal align left, and let's just tuck them all into one line. Next we're going to make the placket. I'm going to hover back over the shapes menu, right click and select the rectangle tool and set the fill to none. And come over and draw a rectangle around my buttons. That's automatically filled it with none, and it's given me a stroke of 8 points. Now I want to create some top stitching, and I'm going to do this as a double row. So I'm going to go to Object, Path, Offset Path, and click there. And now adjust the offset settings. If I tick preview, I'll be able to see the effect, so you can see now that they've joined in there. And I'm going to click OK. Now if I select the outside rectangle and click on the word stroke, it will give me the stroke options. I'm going to choose the dashed line, and that has automatically given me a dashed line. I'm just going to choose the rounded cap because it looks a bit more stitchy. I'm going to do the same for the inside line. Click on stroke, choose the dashed line and round the cap. And there is my first button placket. The document can be saved as a project that you can reopen in Illustrator. Illustrator file projects end in .ai. You can also save it as a smaller flat image suitable for printing or uploading to the web. Those file names end in .jpg or .png. So to save the project itself, I'm going to go to File, Save As, and give the project a name. Choose where you want to save it to, put it on the desktop, and click Save. And click OK. Next I'm going to choose one that I can send straight to the printer. So I'm not going to save this, we're going to export it. So I'm going to go to File and choose Export, and Export As from the menu. It's automatically offered us a PNG file, and that will be fine. Check where it's going on the desktop, and go to Export. It will give us some options there. So we want to adjust the settings for the printer. So the resolution will be high, and the background colour will be white. Go to OK. can also save that as a JPEG, so go to File, Export, Export As. Under Format, scroll down and choose JPEG and go to Export, and that will give us some JPEG options. Color model CMYK because we're going to print. Resolution high. Everything else is fine. Go to OK. If I come back to my desktop now, you can see I've got all three here, the button placket, Illustrator file, I've got a PNG version I can print or use on the web, and a JPEG version, the same. So that's your first set of shapes, and while we've got this up, we're just going to use this to look at layers. So I'm going to get the Layers panel from Window, Layers. If you've used Photoshop, you will have used layers before, but these work slightly differently. So if you click on the drop-down arrow, you'll get a selection of drop-downs, and you can see the different parts, the different components of my button placket. You can just turn off the visuals for the layers here. So whole thing, individual parts, off and on. You can also lock them so that you don't pull them around into the wrong place, draw over them, mess them up in any way, using the little lock button here. And we look at layers in more depth as we go along.